It's bulking season. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is reportedly consuming 4,000 calories a day in the lead up to his cage match with Elon Musk. In a Threads post, Zuck shared his McDonald's order: 20 nuggets, a quarter pounder, large fries, Oreo McFlurry, apple pie, and maybe some side cheeseburgers for later. Then he added, not cutting weight, so I need about 400 or 4,000 calories a day to offset all the activity, and it's so delicious.
Zuckerberg recently told podcaster Lex Friedman that he does 3 to 4 Jiu-Jitsu and MMA sessions a week, in addition to strength, conditioning, and mobility workouts. No word yet if or when we'll see Zuckerberg and Musk fight it out. Yes, that's a lot of calories. As someone who works out every single day, Mark Zuckerberg is really conditioning his body to get ready for this match.
I find it super hard to believe that someone with as much financial resources as Mark Zuckerberg is going to McDonald's for his meals to bulk up. Like, I don't know if you've ever done the fitness thing, the working out all the time and eating the stuff to make gains. But bulking season doesn't really mean McDonald's when I think about it. It means a lot of brown rice, a lot of chicken, a lot of vegetables. I don't know if he's going to sabotage himself to slow down by eating McDonald's, or if this is some weird advertisement for McDonald's on Threads.
Maybe it's a weird advertisement for McDonald's. I mean, usually you're going to do a lot of red meats, like you said, a lot of chickens, a lot of brown rice. You want to have some vegetables, some greens in it. And usually, I mean, 4,000 calories, I would imagine, again, as someone who works out a lot, you're eating at least 4 times a day. And everything is sort of segmented by times because you want to give the body enough time to break everything down. And so those of you who work out, you know what I'm talking about. Nevertheless, Jess, I'm putting my money on Mark Zuckerberg as someone who's trained in judo every once in a while. If he gets him on the ground, it is over. I'm putting my money on Mark.
Yeah, they're really making a meal out of this cage match, no pun intended. But I think Mark Zuckerberg is my favorite as well, which is why I'm like, no, don't eat the McDonald's. You have to be ready to really give it to Elon. I'm not a big Elon fan. I think also, just strategically as an athlete, thinking about their body makeup and who's likely the winner of this fight. We've talked about how Mark Zuckerberg has done some judo, some jiu-jitsu. Elon Musk, very top-heavy kind of a guy. I think Mark Zuckerberg is a bit more agile, and for whatever reason, I want him to win against Elon Musk. But I don't like them both. The billionaires of our country are fighting. It's giving bread and circuses, the fall of an empire. The billionaires are doing a cage match. I think we got things right here in America, because instead of making, working class people gladiate, we're making the wealthiest men in our nation gladiate. And I think we got that right compared to the Romans.
Well, look, I think a lot of people, if the fight were to actually happen, I mean, maybe we got to call Dana from MMA to see what he says. But I think most people will look at this and say, here are 2 super wealthy guys with all the money in the world fighting when they really don't have to. How about direct some of that money towards other initiatives or nonprofit organizations, the attention that is that they're going to gather. And maybe with the money raised from such an event, they'll say, hey, we want to direct this money to some nonprofit organizations that will actually make a difference in the country. So I can see how this could turn into a really great benefactor, if you will, for struggling people, whatever the issue may be. So if it happens, I hope they give the money and the proceeds to a worthy cause.
Yeah, I think it would be super fun to dissect the psychology and politics here of why these 2 billionaires are doing this. There's this theory in economics, and it's a proven theory, but diminishing marginal returns as a model when it comes to income. For every additional dollar of income after a certain point, there's a diminishing return on utility or happiness you get from that additional income, because you meet your basic needs and then you start to get some of the things you want. And then of all of the things you want that you've now purchased, any additional dollar of income doesn't increase the quality of those things anymore, right? A few years ago, it was $75,000. I'm assuming it's more from inflation. But these guys have so much money and so much influence and so much power that they're like, all I've ever known is to compete. And I have nothing left to do. I have all of the money in the world. I can do a lot of what I want when it comes to influencing society as a whole, let alone my own life and needs and wants, that they're like, I think, bored. Let's just fight each other physically. We've gone back to our most primal form. I think there's something off about this whole thing, and I think they've been psychologically damaged by how much power and money they have.
I don't know. I think I look at this a little differently. I mean, I'm a guy, and I know as a man, when you sort of reach your maximum height of whatever your particular arena may be, you have that competitive spirit and you want to continue. And so if you have an adversarial, but a friendly adversary, if you will, that's in a different arena or a similar arena, and you guys want to sort of test out each other's testosterone, then why not get in a cage match and fight it out? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you see oftentimes too many individuals talking about toxic masculinity and wanting men to be softer, which I am absolutely against. Here is two of the wealthiest, most powerful guys in the world getting into a cage match, hopefully getting themselves into shape, hopefully learning some defensive skill sets, which men should do because we're supposed to be the protectors and the defenders of our wives and of our families and of our communities. I think this is a good example, not only because I think there's some financial benefit where they can give that money to a worthy cause, but also to sort of show guys, if you put your mind to something, you can do something challenging, even if it's new, but to also showcase there's nothing wrong with having strength and masculinity if it's directed in a positive and right way. And I think that's what these two guys will exhibit if the fight actually happens.
Okay, well, then I'll say, Shermichael, as a woman not blinded by my testosterone, I would say that this fight is a perfect example of toxic masculinity because here you have these two guys who want to fight for the sake of fighting because they're kind of public enemies. I think that's toxic masculinity, and what you described about, being a protector of your family and children in your community. If they were in that role and they were doing that, they would be using their fortune and all of the wealth that they're hoarding to invest in their communities, to repair damaged roads, to ensure that people have good schools to go to give their money that is not doing them any good to people in need in their communities. That would be very masculine, very good for them to do, very healthy masculinity of protecting and providing for and distributing the wealth that you're hoarding among the community that you shouldn't have stolen in the first place, but never too late to change. I think that would be an example of healthy masculinity rather than cage fighting.
I mean, look, I'll say this to Mark Zuckerberg's defense. I can't say about Elon Musk, but I know Mark and his wife actually, they have a nonprofit. They've given hundreds of millions of dollars away to a lot of underprivileged kids across this country, focusing on technology and literacy. So he is actually using his money for very positive things. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with guys fighting. We're guys. We're going to fight it out sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with this. This idea that guys should just go into a corner, grab a blanket, and cry it out is sort of just ludicrous to me and foreign to me. We have to stop doing this thing of demasculizing our men, this demasculating feature that we want in society today is part of why so many men are starting to lead towards conservatism versus finding themselves somewhere in the political middle. There was a poll that came out just recently that showed high school seniors are starting to lean more conservative than liberal. I wonder why.
I think maybe not everyone sees there's such a clear dichotomy between you can either cage match your enemies or you can cry under a blanket. I don't think men wake up every day and they're like, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the guy crying under the blanket, or do I have to cage match my friends and fight people that are, my frenemies? I don't think it's a clear decision like that. I think masculinity and femininity and our relationship to gender is a little more nuanced, a little more complicated. I think you can have real human emotions and be upset about stuff. Elon can cry about his divorce and still use his wealth to do good things, provide for the community, and also maybe cage match a little bit, but not make the cage match the central focus of the public eye. Like, we're gonna fight each other and we're so manly and we hate each other and please pay attention to us. Here's my McDonald's order. Like, get invested in the process before it happens. I think that seems like more of an ego thing, but I don't think it's a clear dichotomy between you can either have emotions and cry under a blanket or you gotta cage match your enemies.
Well, I'm not saying it's a false dichotomy necessarily, but what I am saying is that I don't think there's anything wrong with guys showing strength. And if you want to fight it out sometimes, guys, fight it out. There's nothing wrong with it. I have a brother, and sometimes we get upset with each other, and we may want to fight it out sometimes, and then we laugh about it, go grab a drink, and we have a good time. There is nothing wrong with being a tough guy. Cry sometimes, sure. Care about the communities, sure. Have emotions, sure. But be tough at the end of the day. More Rising after this.